Section 11 of Shadowland, November 1919. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Laura Luxinger. Shadowland, November 1919. By Various. What Every Woman Should Know by the Rambler. The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings, mused Milady as she strolled down the greatest avenue in the world, past the wonderful fashion marts and through the side streets, past the smaller but also smart shops, pausing frequently to marvel at the tempting array of everything dear to the feminine heart, so artistically displayed in the big windows. The world is so full of a number of things, she thought again. But happy as kings? Well, kings should be happy. For one thing, they don't have to worry about fashions, wearing as they do always the same kingly garb, crowns included, season after season. But how can a woman be happy when she contemplates such a bewildering display of fashions, all so inconsistently different, contradicting one another, as it were, right before one's eyes? Such a number of things, indeed. And Milady is right. Individualism is the cry of the age, and individualism in dress is one of the results. We hear of the new silhouette, and we see it demonstrated in voluminous overskirts, double hip pockets, gracefully draped in beflounced frocks, skirts with ruffles and frills. And then we turn to observe a slim figure swathed so tightly in velvet or satin that she can hardly put one foot before the other. And on every side we see the one-piece gown of slender lines. When all these modes are unmistakably in the fashion, how can any one silhouette be said to be the mode? The most noticeable feature of the present-day mode is its catholicity, and there can be no distinctively new silhouette, nor is any new novelty of design a possibility. Small wonder Milady is bewildered at the apparent inconsistencies of present-day fashions. The fact has been accepted among artists that every woman is a distinct type belonging to some period in history, and now the world of fashion is recognizing it and has finally decreed that instead of setting up a few standard styles and demanding that all types wear practically the same modes, there shall be a wide enough range of styles to cover every period of history and every type and enable every woman to find the most becoming attire. Every woman's problem, then, is to classify herself. In short, let Milady hie herself to the mirror, study the reflection there, and decide upon her type. The rest is exceedingly simple, as a tour of the shops will show. In the exclusive Fifth Avenue and smaller establishments, we find not only fashions belonging to a particular period, but fashions echoing all the little details that characterize them as belonging to a particular type. For the piquant woman with dainty coloring, the Dresden shepherdess type, the models show the soft clinging lines of the Renaissance period, with lovely effects achieved in satins and soft flexible silks, draperies that assume the shape of panniers, and the blouse which is in one piece with the girdle with surplice, closing, quaint and becoming. For afternoon and evening wear, the Dresden shepherdess type of model displays gowns of dainty tints and fabrics, ruffled taffetas and lace berthas, airy nets with ribbon trimmings, delicate crepes and chiffons with flowing lace sleeves. One model wore a hat with picturesquely drooping brim with black and pastel shades. Another, a chic round velvet turban with an irrepressible spray of feathers, and a very young girl was particularly alluring in a poke bonnet of draped velvet such as grandmother wore. Capes maintain their tremendous vogue, and an afternoon and evening cape of taupe velvet with fur collar charmingly accommodated the fuller skirts affected by these models, while a motor or traveling coat of homespun with novel yoke and sleeves and muffler collar was at hand for utility wear. For Milady of Oriental beauty, there are the brightest of colors, the richest of fabrics, a gay commingling of colors, and the glimmer of metals and brocades. The daytime dresses worn by models representing this type are more or less straight but elaborate with embroidery, braid, and other trimmings. For formal afternoon wear, there is a gown of black velvet with a front tablier of brocaded velvet weighted with gold and jet fringe, and girdle of gold metal with gold tassels. The velvet is draped from the left shoulder where it is caught by a gold buckle. The gowns for evening wear are built along clinging lines and graceful curves and, carrying out the idea that this type of woman depends upon the quality of fabric and bizarre ornamentation to achieve the proper degree of elegance, the effect is one of almost barbaric splendor. Fanciful effects are noticed too in her wraps and furs, sumptuous garments, shapeless almost in cut, or luxurious brocades, supple velvets and fleecy duvetins with colorful linings. But it is with her hats especially that Milady of Oriental beauty comes into her own. One model displayed a millinery triumph of splendid brocade with lining of Chinese royal blue taffeta, a narrow edge of black Chantilly lace, and a blue and silver ribbon round the crown. Another was of black velvet with rose and silver lining, and a rose and blue ostrich falling into cascades of graceful spray. Dost see the picture? And there is the prim Priscilla, the demure stately beauty, belonging to the days when lovers sang sentimentally the Spanish cavalier, "I'll hang my harp on a weeping willow tree." She does not hope to achieve the exquisite loveliness of the Dresden shepherdess lady, nor the colorful splendor of the Oriental beauty, but she combines the charm and sauciness of today with the dignity belonging to Queen Victoria's early reign, and the result is inimitable. For the edification of this alluring type of femininity, one model wears a dress of heavy satin with wide hip fullness, and so much depth that the sides take on a pannier aspect. The waist is merely a fitted straight bodice, with square open neck and sleeves that do not reach below the elbow. A quaint afternoon frock is of morning glory silk, with draped tunic and draped lace fichu. Lace forms the vest and ends of the flowing sleeves, beneath which are fitted and buttoned oversleeves of sheer fabric. Another formal frock is of soft pink taffeta, with graduated flounces of lace about the rather full skirt, narrower ruffles of lace outlining the bib front of the bodice, short puff sleeves with lace ruffles and pink sash. So reminiscent were these frocks of "when Grandma was a girl," that we were not surprised to see that the models wearing these gowns wore early Victorian coiffures with earrings to match, and carried the small beaded and bouffant bags that Victorian ladies knew as reticules. There is a noticeable return, too, to furs of Grandmother's day, and the little Victorian lady of today may find herself wearing a becoming coat or cape combination of sable and mink. With these quaint creations, the returned picture hat, with its graceful drooping brim and swirl of paradise feathers, is singularly fitting and becoming. For the business woman and the woman who affects the tailored type of dress, there is a deal of diversity in the styles apart from the strictly mannish kind that are characterized by smart simplicity and exquisite tailoring. This season, suits have taken to masquerading. Some of the suits have various modes of camouflage which make them appear like dresses, while some of the frocks look like coats. Coats, too, have turned into garments that are half coat and the other half cape. Coat-like frocks give their wearers a trim, well-dressed appearance, and for that reason will be extremely popular. This type of costume has been dear to the heart of the French woman and is now being universally adopted by the American woman, who so long have favored the tailor-made suit for street wear. Each season, however, sees a further departure from the suit. We have come to realize that we are never well dressed in a blouse and skirt after removing the jacket of a suit. One of these new coat dresses takes the place of either a suit or a light-weight topcoat on mild autumn days, and one may go to business, shop, lunch, or even dine with the feeling of being well dressed. Generally speaking, the business or tailored woman will cling to the type of dress that is trim, smart, and sensible. She will not wear trailing skirts, uncomfortably full ones, nor yet the unreasonably short frocks affected by French women. Coats of the new tailleurs are much longer than those of last year. Many of them are 3/4 length, although some are even longer than this. Fullness does not appear in the back. No matter how flaring the sides may be, the back of the jacket must be without fullness. For the lover of the separate blouse, the choice of meteor for blouse material is extremely practical. Brown and raspberry shades are especially attractive. The short sleeve, which ends just above the elbow or merely covers it, is preferred for over blouses, the necks of which are high in the back but show a rounded opening at the front. These blouses are effective with separate modish skirts. For the street suit, duvetyn is combined with chiffon or georgette crepe with pleasing effect. Matching suit shades come as heretofore in georgette, but made up with color contrast and underlays of flame, coral pink, pearl gray, and French blue. Both low and high neck styles are designed, but the low cuts receive greatest favor. Surprising versatility is shown, too, in milady's footwear. It was only recently that the leading modistes saw the wonderful results obtained by selecting well-fitting footwear in shades to blend with the costume. There is nothing revolutionary in the idea. It is a lesson we should have learned from nature long ago. Master minds in the Great World War grasped and profited by this lesson of nature and called it camouflage, which is simply the art of blending objects into a background to make them inconspicuous. Hats, wraps, and gowns are important, of course, but shoes determine every woman's confidence in her costume. Hence the awakening to the importance of color harmony, smart lines, and efficient comfort in modish footwear. Kid skin is the chosen leather because it melds smoothly to the foot and ankle and lends itself perfectly to the fashionable colorings that women seek. A good-looking walking boot that pleases all classes of women because it combines a sense of the smartness so much desired with comfortable ease is of soft-dressed kid with trim, high-cut lace top, Cuban heel, and flexible turned sole. And, while we hear rumors of a nationwide campaign against the high heel, the eternal feminine still loves and wears the slim, graceful walking boot, the trim pump, the gay, carefree dancing slippers with smart Lewis heels. And so, strolling down the avenue and through the big stores with their bewildering display of beauty and fashion, milady learns a number of things. She looks about and sees costumes inspired by all countries and ages, a fascinating jumble of all the feminine fashions since the modern world began. A veritable upheaval of traditions in costuming has characterized the interval since the war was over, but let us not imagine that it reflects an attitude of unrest and uncertainty, but that it expresses a constructive effort toward well-regulated progress in the fine art of dress. End of section 11.